How's everybody doing? Today I'll be reviewing Paranormal Activity 3. And if you've seen Paranormal Activity 3, definitely let me know what you think of it. And let me know which of the Paranormal Activities is your favorite. Paranormal Activity 3, produced for only $5 million, broke a record for the biggest October opening and the biggest horror movie opening ever, with $54 million. But that also depends on what you define as a horror movie. That being said, this is certainly a huge success box office-wise. The third installment in the Paranormal Activity series is a prequel and sets up the storyline and gives you an insight into how it all began. Maybe imaginary friends aren't so imaginary after all, but this one needs to take the hint. It starts out in 1988 where the two girls from the previous Paranormal Activity movies, Kristi and Katie, are little girls. And Laurie Bittner, who plays the mother Julie, looks a lot like Zooey Deschanel. And Dennis is her new boyfriend who plays the surrogate father role for Kristi and Katie. And he's a wedding videographer, and during an earthquake they have the video camera set up, and afterwards he takes a look at the tape and he thinks he sees something on there, and he's hearing noises, so he sets up video cameras all around the house, which again is pretty similar to the two previous movies in the series. Kristi has an imaginary friend named Toby, who she talks to and she swears is real. And throughout the movie you see Kristi doing weird things out of the norm, and supposedly she's doing them with Toby. So with all the weird things going on with Kristi and the imaginary friend Toby and all the weird noises, Dennis really wants to get to the bottom of things and find out what's going on. From there, it's the same formula as the two previous films in the series, with the POV style, different noises, doors shutting and opening, things like that. And then in the last few minutes of the movie, some creepy things happen. And I will say there's a lot of parallels between Dennis's character in this film and Mika's character in the first Paranormal Activity. Let me just say I wasn't a fan of the first Paranormal Activity, but I definitely enjoyed the second one. Regardless of what you think of these types of films, with Blair Witch, Paranormal Activity, and the like, you have to admit that marketing is genius. I'm just hoping that it doesn't become like the Saw series where it's a new Paranormal Activity movie every year, continually every year. And of course Paranormal Activity 4 is inevitable, that's going to come out, and they're definitely going to milk this for all it's worth. But there comes a point where it gets a little drawn out and it's like beating a dead horse. Much like the first Paranormal Activity, not much happens throughout most of the movie. Patience should be a virtue when watching these style of movies. Literally nothing happens for the first 45 minutes of the movie, except for a few different noises, and Kristi, waking up in the middle of the night and a door shutting. Certainly nothing too out of the ordinary or scary. I will say the parents must be deep sleepers to not hear some of the noises towards the end of the movie and the kids screaming. And why in the world would you not turn on the lights at the end of the movie? If things are amiss, you would certainly want to turn on the lights to get a better idea of your surroundings. For a movie set in the 80s, I didn't get much of an 80s vibe, except for the Teddy Ruxpin doll. Usually when movies are set in the past, they go out of the way to show it, and that really wasn't the case here. There's one or two subtle things, and that was really about it. It provided some backstory, but I felt like they could have done so much more with it, especially story-wise. While I did provide more details for the story overall towards the very end of the movie, it's obviously trying to drag more movies out of the series instead of giving more in-depth details. Then again, that can add to more of the mystery. They give you some answers, but provide more questions. Leave them wanting more. Most of the scenes from the trailer were not in the actual movie. I would say about 90% of the scenes of the trailer weren't in the movie. Which leads me to believe in about 3 months when the DVD or Blu-ray comes out, there's going to be the theatrical cut, and then the director's cut, or the extended, unrated, unseen footage cut. I understand that producers influence the film, and directors aren't always happy with the outcome, so they want to show their true vision of the film as well. But lately there's been so many different movies with several different cuts, and it seems more about just trying to get money from the consumer. It provides the same amount of tension and suspense as the first Paranormal Activity movie. Except at that stage there's more of an original idea. Well, as original an idea as any kind of ghost or demon story, but just shot in a POV style. The thing that left me dissatisfied about the movie is that they leave it wide open for another in the series, which is inevitable at this point. But I feel like each movie should be able to stand on its own. And I'm not sure that's the case here, mostly given the fact that we've seen it all before by this point. It has a Rosemary's Baby aspect to it as well, much like The Last Exorcism. This one felt like it was really strung together solely for the purpose of continuing the series. It's the same style and formula that we've seen in the previous two in the series. I think if it wasn't for the fact that this is the same thing over and over again, with an ending we've seen before, and this isn't an original concept either, then this movie would get a much higher rating. One unique thing they did in this installment was they MacGyvered a video camera onto an oscillating fan, so it slowly moves and rotates, panning from a view of the kitchen to the living room. Like so. And they make great use of this with some scares and some tension as well. If you like the first two Paranormal Activities, you'll probably like this one as well. But if you didn't like them, then you probably won't like this one because there's nothing really new here. Same style and formula, people hearing noises, setting up cameras, POV style, being terrorized by an unknown evil entity. Except this time they go back to when they were little kids, and they give you a little bit of a backstory and a different angle to the story as well, especially the ending. Paranormal Activity, Back to the Future. For me, it's a mixed bag. At this point, we've seen it all before. Like I said, same style, same formula. I give Paranormal Activity 3 7 out of 10 stars. I liked it better than the first movie, but not as much as the second. It's decent. I wouldn't say go run out and see it, but it's definitely worth checking out. The main thing that hinders it for me is that it's too similar to the first two movies in the series, except for the last few minutes. I would have liked to have seen more original ideas explored instead of the same old rehash with a recycled ending tacked on. Let me know if you've seen Paranormal Activity 3 and what you think of it, and which of the Paranormal Activity movies was your favorite. Leave me a comment down below, and I hope everybody's doing well. Take care.